Hi, I'm Zach, and this is Challenger Vedic Astrology and Tarot. Welcome to the channel. So if you'd like to get either a Vedic Astrology or a tarot reading with me, you can do so at my website. It'll be linked down in the description box below. And if you like my videos, be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps me and the channel out. Okay, so this is going to be a transit overview for all signs for mid-June to mid-July. Now, in this, I'm going to be talking about, some of the smaller transits that are going to be happening. Now, because I'm not going to be making a video on Saturn retrograde, I figure I'd go ahead and give you all a quick discussion on what this is going to mean. So, first off, Saturn's going to be transiting in Sagittarius. It's going to be turning retrograde, I believe, on the 17th. Now, when Saturn turns retrograde, it's returning to correct something. And Saturn is karma. Now, this in particular is societal karma. I normally don't talk about this too much, but Sagittarius, being the constellation or nakshatra that Saturn's going to be retrograding in, that shows there's going to be a return to dealing with things tied to criminals. So there could be criminal justice reform that takes place while Saturn's retrograde in this. This constellation is also tied to health issues, healthcare. So there could also be, healthcare reform. There could be new discoveries tied to medicine. Also, this constellation is tied to cryptocurrency. It's tied to new technology. It's tied to AI, robotics. All this could be addressed when Saturn goes retrograde. Okay. So now we're going to kick things off with the rest of the signs. So let's get into this. Okay. So Aries, Ascendant, and Moon sign. Let's talk about what's coming up for you all. So first we're going to go ahead and start with Mars. So Mars and Venus are currently conjunct in your 4th house. Now this can cause vehicle issues. So Aries ascendants have likely had to deal with vehicle issues, especially with it being in the 4th house of vehicles. Because even if they aren't in the 4th house, they can cause vehicle issues here. Now, you've probably dealt with conflict at home. Mars can definitely cause that. Conflict with your mother, because 4th house represents mother. But also if you're in a relationship, there could have been conflict in a relationship. Could also cause a lot of passion, so that can, be good or bad. Now, here Mars has a 4th aspect on your 7th house of relationships and business. So 4th aspect of Mars is the aspect of conquest. So you would want to conquer your partner. You'd want to conquer, business. Now, does that mean everybody's going to be overbearing with this? No. But that is the overall energy of this. It's going to be the tendency you'd have during this time. Now, 7th aspect of confrontation is going to be on the 10th house. So 10th house is career, status, your bosses, your work environment. So you could be getting into conflicts with your bosses and your coworkers right now. So watch out for that. Now the 8th aspect is going to be on the 11th house. So this can cause sudden ups and downs in your gains, in your finances. It can cause sudden transformations in large organizations and, network circles. It can cause sudden ups and downs with your elder sibling and with your friends. So be aware of that. Now, Mars and Venus are going to be conjunct again July 6th in the sign of Leo. Now, Mars will go in a few days before, but I'm just going to cover them at the same time. Now, Leo is your 5th house of romance. So, definitely, if you're not in a relationship, you could begin a new romance. Mars, planet of passion, Venus, planet of relationships. Highly possible. Fifth house is also tied to education. It's tied to fun and games. It's tied to cinema, theater, creativity. So places like this are where you could meet someone new. Um, Now, if you're already in a relationship, be aware, passion could still, be stronger than usual, but also conflicts can be more likely too. And for those of you that are, wanting to have children, this is a good time for it, actually. Now, Mars and Venus being in your fifth house, well, particularly Mars being in the fifth house. If you have children, there could be conflicts with them once it moves into Leo. Also, Mars is your energy and drive, so you're going to put your energy and drive into fun and games, romance, your education. Now, the fourth aspect of conquest is going to be on the eighth house. Eighth house is tied to the occult. It's tied to joint finances, business finances, your in-laws. Eighth house is also research, sun ups and downs, insurance. So these are the areas of life that you might want to conquer during this time. The seventh aspect of confrontation is going to be on your 11th house of elder siblings, friends. So you could get into fights with your elder siblings, with your friends, also with a large, group. Now the eighth aspect is going to be on your 12th house. So eighth aspect brings sudden ups and downs. Now 12th house is the house of loss, so there could be sudden losses, so be careful with that. Now, let's talk about sun. So sun's your focus, and it's going to be in the third house. Third house is your younger siblings, it's your cousins, your neighbors. Third house is also media, communication, writing. It's the internet. It's the house of effort. So this is where your focus is going to be. Now, with the particular people that I've mentioned this can be associated with, and with the areas of life I've mentioned, on the new moon, June 18th, that is when you'll see a significant event tied to this house. So the rest of the transit, you'll see that your focus is there, but you'll see a significant event on the 18th. Okay. So that's what I have for you, Aries. And now we're going to move on to Taurus. Okay, so this is for Taurus, Ascendant and Moon sign. Alright, Taurus. So, let's talk about the Mars transit first. So Mars is going to be in your third house for a while longer. Third house of effort. And Mars is your energy and drive, so you're putting forth a lot of effort right now. But Mars can also bring conflict. Conflict with your younger siblings, with your cousins, with your neighbors. And Mars and Venus conjunct in particular can bring conflict in relationships. Now, Mars and Venus conjunct, though, can also bring passion in your relationship. Now, the way you could meet somebody during this time would be tied to the third house. So third house is communication, media, the internet, short distance travel. So these are, ways that you can meet someone new. But if you're already in a relationship, it can cause conflict or an increase in passion. In some cases, both. Now, you're going to be putting more energy into these particular areas of life because of Mars being there. Now, the fourth aspect of Mars is going to fall in your sixth house. So, fourth aspect of Mars is conquest. Now, sixth house is tied to your maternal aunts and uncles. It's tied to enemies. It's your coworkers. It's your debt. It's pets, if I didn't already mention that. It's competition. It's your health. So these particular areas of life are areas you'd want to conquer during this time. Now, the seventh aspect of Mars is confrontational. So, you could be getting into conflict. Oh, first off, it's going to be falling in your ninth house. So, your conflicts could be with your teachers, with your gurus, your mentors. Ninth house is also father. So, it could be conflict with your father at this time. And the eighth aspect is going to fall in your 10th house. So 10th house is career, status. It's your bosses. It's your work environment. So there could be sudden changes in your career at this time. Sudden changes with your bosses. Okay. Now Mars and Venus are both going to move into Leo, July 6th. Now Mars is going to be there a few days before, but I figure we'd hit on them at the same time. Okay, so in the 4th house, this can definitely cause vehicle issues. I mean, either way, Mars and Venus conjunct can cause vehicle issues. Now, if you're, already in a relationship, that increased passion and potential for conflicts is still going to be there. But also, Mars and Venus in the 4th house, if you're looking to get into a relationship, you could meet somebody in a home-like setting. So you could, go to a house party and meet someone, that kind of thing. Now, Mars being in your 4th house can cause conflict with your mother and with people inside your home. The 4th aspect is going to fall in your 7th house of relationships and business. So those are the areas of life that you'd want to conquer. So you could be overbearing in relationships and with your business partner. Now, the 7th aspect of confrontation is going to fall in your 10th house of career, status, your bosses, your work environment. So, especially with your boss and coworkers, there could be conflicts. And, you could likely be the cause of those conflicts, so be aware of that. 8th aspect is going to be on the 11th house. So, there can be sudden ups and downs in your finances. So there could be sudden gains. But also there could be sudden ups and downs with your friends and with your elder siblings. And with large network circles, large organizations. Okay, so now let's talk about Sun that just moved into Gemini. So Sun is your focus, and it's going to be in your 2nd house. Now 2nd house is speech, it's your savings, it's the money that you regularly earn, like through a paycheck. It's also your family. So these are going to be where your focus is. It's also what you eat and drink. Now, there's going to be a new moon here, June 18th, so very soon. Now, when there's a new moon, you're going to see a significant event tied to the areas of life I just mentioned. So there could be, something significant that happens with your savings. You get like a large sum of money. There could be an issue with your bank account. There could also be something big that comes up with family. Okay, that's what I have for you, Taurus. Okay, so Gemini Ascendant and Moon sign. Let's get into this. Alright, we're going to start with Mars. So Mars and Venus are going to be conjunct in your 2nd house in Cancer. Okay, so this can cause issues with vehicles, first off. But also Mars and Venus, if you're already in a relationship, can cause conflicts. Or can cause an increase in passion. There's also the potential that it will cause both. Now, if you're not in a relationship, then you can meet somebody in an area tied to the 2nd house. So 2nd house is speech, it's food and drink, so you could meet somebody at a restaurant or some speaking event. 2nd house is also family, so you can meet somebody at a family gathering. Now, Mars being in the 2nd house definitely causes, it increases the flow of money. It energizes the second house. So second house is savings also. So this can be a bad thing. Basically, more money comes in, but more money goes out. That's what Mars in the second house causes. Also, there can be conflicts with your family right now. Now, Mars is going to have a fourth aspect on your fifth house. Fourth aspect of Mars is the aspect of conquest. So fifth house is education, it's children, it's fun and games. It's I already said education. Alright, it's also creativity and romance. So these are the areas of life that you would want to conquer during this time. So you could be a little overbearing with your children right now, if you have children. Now, seventh aspect of confrontation is going to be on the eighth house. So eighth house is tied to your in-laws. So if you have in-laws, then you could be a little confrontational with them right now, or they could be confrontational with you. Eighth aspect is going to fall on your ninth house. So there could be sudden ups and downs with your father, with your teachers, your mentors. There could be sudden ups and downs in your education. Also, there could be sudden travels. Ninth house is tied to long distance travel in particular. Alright. Now, let's see, July 6th, Mars and Venus are going to move into the sign of Leo, your third house. So, the areas of life that this is tied to, in particular where you could meet somebody new. Third house is tied to travel also, short distance travel. Third house is also media, communication, the internet. You can meet somebody online or while you're out traveling. Third house is also neighbors. You could begin a relationship with a neighbor. Now, the same issues with vehicles and relationships can also be there. Now, Mars being your energy and drive in this house, you'll see this is where you're putting your energy into. Third house is also effort, so it's going to be a lot of energy you're going to put in. Third house being media, communication, writing, short distance travel. Like all these areas of life, you're going to put a lot of energy into. Now, there can be conflicts with your younger siblings, with your neighbors, your cousins, with your friends. Now, the fourth aspect of Mars is going to fall on your sixth house. So sixth house is enemies, it's debt, it's obstacles, it's pets, it's your coworkers. Sixth house is your everyday routines, it's your health. So these areas of life in particular are going to be areas you'd want to conquer. Sixth house is also your maternal aunts and uncles. Okay. Now the seventh aspect of confrontation is going to move to your ninth house. So be careful when you're dealing with your father or with your teachers, mentors, guides. You could be confrontational. And they could be confrontational with you during this time. Now the eighth aspect is going to fall on the 10th house. So 8th aspect can cause sudden ups and downs and transformation. 10th house is your career, your status, your fame. It's your coworkers, it's your work environment and your bosses. So there could be sudden ups and downs with your bosses, with your coworkers. And there could be sudden ups and downs in your career and transformation of your career. Okay. Now let's talk about Sun. Sun's going to be in your first house. So Sun's your focus. And the first house is you and your body, primarily. So, you're going to be a little self-centered during this transit, but that can be a good thing sometimes. With Mars being in your third house, aspecting your sixth house of health, there's a lot of focus on your health right now, if you're a Gemini, Ascendant, or Moon. Now, there's going to be a new moon, June 18th, in your first house. So, New moons bring a significant event. So there's going to be something very significant when it comes to your health, your body. Now, this can be good or bad. So, there could be a health issue that comes up, or figuring out something, to help you with your health. Okay, so that's what I have for you, Gemini. Alright, so Cancer, Ascendant, and Moon sign. Let's get on to you all. Alright, so first off, Venus and Mars are going to be conjunct in your first house. So, Mars and Venus conjunct in your first house. You could begin a new relationship. And if you do, it could be somebody approaching you, or you approaching the other person. But definitely, high probability of getting into a new relationship. Now, Mars and Venus conjunct, though, if you're already in a relationship, can cause an increase in passion in the relationship, but also conflict in the relationship. Now, another thing I want to mention is Mars and Venus can also cause vehicle issues. So if you have a vehicle, you could have been having trouble with it during this transit. Now, fourth aspect of Mars. Actually, let me talk about where Mars is first. So Mars being in the first house, Mars is your energy and drive. So you could have been putting, more energy and drive into your body. First house is the body. It's your health. So you could have been, working out, getting in shape, just really working on your health. All right. Now, fourth aspect of Mars is the aspect of conquest. It's falling on your fourth house. Now, fourth house is mother, home, vehicles. It's your comfort and happiness. So these are the areas of life that you're wanting to conquer. So you can be a little overbearing in that particular area of life right now. Now, the seventh aspect of confrontation is falling on your seventh house of relationships and business. And seventh house is also the masses. So it can be really anybody you meet. So you could be getting into a lot of confrontations right now, especially while Mars, has been in Cancer. Now, the eighth aspect is falling on your eighth house. So, eighth aspect of Mars brings sudden ups and downs and transformation. Eighth house is tied to sudden ups and downs and transformation. Eighth house is also your in-laws, your joint finances, your business finances. It's insurance, taxes. Eighth house is the occult. It's research. So there can be sudden ups and downs in all of these areas of life. Okay. Now, Mars and Venus are going to move into the second house, July 6th. Mars will be there a few days before, but when they're here, where you can meet somebody new would be like a restaurant-like setting or a family gathering. Also, Mars being your energy and drive, being in the second house. Second house is family. It's what you eat and drink. It's your savings. It's speech. So Mars being there can show it energizing your house of savings. Now, that means money will come in, but money's also going to be spent. Also, in the second house of family, this can cause conflict with your family. So be aware of that. Now, the fourth aspect of conquest is going to fall on your fifth house. And fifth house is children. It's romance, fun and games. It's your education. Fifth house is speculative gains. So all of these areas of life are going to be the areas that you would be interested in conquering during this time. So if you have children, be careful, especially with it being in the second house of family, aspecting the fifth house of children. There could definitely be conflict with your kid during this transit. Now, seventh aspect is going to move towards your eighth house. So you could get into confrontations over finances and with your in-laws. if you have in-laws. Now, the 8th aspect of sudden ups and downs of transformation is going to be on your 9th house. So 9th house is your father, your mentors, your guides, your teachers. So it could be sudden ups and downs with them. 9th house is also education and long distance travel. So there could be sudden ups and downs in your education, and there could be sudden, travel. Now let's talk about Sun in your 12th house. So Sun is in Gemini in your 12th house. Sun is your focus. 12th house is isolation. It's jails, hospitals, asylums. It's spirituality. It's sleep, sex. 12th house is also foreign lands, foreign people. So, during this time you might want to be isolated. Also, there could be some kind of health issue where you have to, go get checked at a hospital. That's possible. 12th house is also losses, so there could be financial losses. In particular, once Mars moves into your 2nd house. Definitely, there could be pretty significant financial losses then. Now, there's going to be a significant event here, June 18th, because that's when the new moon is going to happen. Whenever there's a new moon, you'll notice something significant tied to the house where it's taking place. And for you, it's going to be in this 12th house. It can be tied to the areas of life that I mentioned. Alright, that's what I have for you, Cancer. Okay, so on to Leo Ascendant and Moon sign. Alright, Leo. So, Mars and Venus have been in your 12th house for a while. Now, Mars and Venus can cause issues with vehicles when they're conjunct. Also, if you're in a relationship, there can be an increase in passion, but also there can be conflict. Now, with them being in the 12th house, there's definitely a high likelihood of sexual, a lot of sexual energy. See, Mars is your energy and drive, and Mars being here in the 12th house, especially conjunct Venus, there's a lot of, sexual energy there. Now, 12th house is also sleep, though. So Mars can be disrupting your sleep. You could have trouble sleeping right now. Now, 12th house is also foreign places, foreign travel. It's isolation, jails, hospitals, asylums. It's spirituality. It's also losses. So there could be increased losses during this transit. But also there could be some kind of accident where you have to go to a hospital. That's possible, so be aware of that. Now, the 4th aspect of conquest is going to fall into Libra, your 3rd house. So 4th aspect of Mars is tied to conquest. 3rd house is your younger siblings, your neighbors, your cousins. 3rd house is also media, communication, writing, the internet, short distance travel. So these are the areas of life that you would be interested in conquering. And you could be a little overbearing. 3rd house is also efforts. Now, the 7th aspect is going to fall in your 6th house. So, 7th aspect of Mars is confrontational. So, 6th house is the house of enemies. It's the house of your maternal aunts and uncles, your coworkers, it's your pets, it's debt, obstacles, it's your health. So, especially with, your maternal aunts and uncles, your enemies, your coworkers, there could be confrontations, fights. So be aware of that. Now, the 8th aspect is going to fall in your 7th house of relationships and business. So it could be sudden ups and downs and transformation in your business and in your relationship. Now, Mars and Venus are going to move to your Ascendant, or Moon Sign, Leo. This is going to be on July 6th. So with Mars and Venus being here, your energy and drive is going to turn to you. You and your body, your health. So you could start working out, getting in shape. You have more energy. Now, definitely here, it can cause conflict in relationships because it's going to have a 7th aspect of confrontation onto the house of relationships, but also business. So be aware of that. Now, the 4th aspect is going to fall in your 4th house of mother, home, vehicles, comfort, and happiness. So those are the areas you're going to want to conquer. So be aware you can be a little overbearing with your mother, overly controlling, of the home. Now, the 8th aspect is going to fall on your 8th house. So sudden ups and downs, transformation. 8th house is joint finances, business finances. So there could be sudden ups and downs with that. 8th house is also your in-laws, so they could be going through a lot right now. Now, Sun just moved into your 11th house. So Sun's your focus, and it's going to be in the 11th house of elder siblings, friends, large network circles, gains, hopes, wishes, desires. So financially, this could be good. You could, have more focus on your elder siblings than your friends during this transit. This house is also the house of gain of status. Now, the new moon is going to take place on June 18th. So, June 18th in particular, there's going to be a significant event tied to the themes of this house that I just went through. So be aware of that. Alright, Leo. Okay, so Virgo Ascendant and Moon Sign. Let's move on to y'all. Okay, so Mars and Venus are going to be conjunct in your 11th house. Sorry, just checking my mic. Okay. So, when Mars and Venus are conjunct, there can be issues with vehicles. There can be a lot of passion in your relationship, but there can also be fights in your relationship. Now, if you're not in a relationship, but you want to be in one, this conjunction in your 11th house is tied to friends, large network circles, large gatherings. So you could, begin a relationship with a friend. Also, you could begin a relationship like at a party or a large gathering. It's also tied to large organizations, so you can meet somebody like as part of a large group that you could start a relationship with. Now, Mars is your energy and drive, and the 11th house. 11th house is your elder sibling. It's your friends. It's your gains. Gain of status as well. It's your hopes, wishes, desires. It's large network circles, large organizations. So this is where your energy and drive is going, because that's what Mars represents. So you could be gaining more money while Mars is here. But Mars can also cause fights, conflict. So especially with your elder sibling, with your friends, be aware of that. Now the 4th aspect of Mars is going to fall on your 2nd house. So 4th aspect of Mars is tied to conquest. So 2nd house is tied to your earnings, your savings. So definitely financially this is a very good time period for you. But 2nd house is also speech. It's your family. So you can be a little domineering with your family right now, especially with your speech. Now, the 7th aspect of Mars is going to be on your 5th house. 7th aspect is the confrontational aspect of Mars. 5th house is tied to children, but it's also tied to students. Anybody that like works under you. So like, if you're a boss at a company, like a manager, this, these are your subordinates. Okay, so you can get in conflicts with these people though. Now the 8th aspect is going to be on the 6th house. So 6th house is tied to debt, enemies, 6th house is health, pets, it's your maternal aunts and uncles, it's your coworkers that are on equal standing with you. So there can be ups and downs with these areas of life and these people. So be aware of that. Now, when Mars moves into Leo, it'll move there July 6th with Venus. It'll be in there a few days before without Venus there, but for the most part, it's going to be conjunct Venus. Okay. So, in this case, where you can meet somebody, to begin a relationship, and this is starting July 6th, is you can meet somebody in a foreign country when you're traveling a long distance. 12th house is also hospitals, jails, asylums. So you can meet, somebody at a hospital that you can begin a relationship with. 12th house is also spirituality, so you can meet somebody on a spiritual retreat. Now, Mars being your energy and drive in the 12th house, like I said, spirituality. So you could put more energy into your spiritual pursuits. 12th house is also sleep, though. So Mars being there disturbs your sleep. You'd have trouble getting to sleep. You'd have too much energy. And 12th house is also sex. So you'd have a higher sex drive than normal while Mars is in the 12th house. Okay. Now, 4th aspect of Mars is going to be on your 3rd house. So 3rd house is your younger siblings, your neighbors, your cousins. It's also a house of friends. 3rd house is communication, it's writing, it's media, it's the internet, it's short distance travel, and it's your efforts. So these are the areas of life that you would want to conquer. 3rd house is also skills, so you might want to learn a new skill. Now, 7th aspect of Mars is going to fall on your 6th house. 6th house of enemies, maternal aunts and uncles, coworkers, pets. So you could get into conflicts with all these particular, people and, even animals. Now, 8th aspect is going to fall in your 7th house of relationships and business. So this can cause ups and downs in your relationship and in your business. And especially with your business partner, if you have one. Okay. Now, Sun has moved into Gemini, your 10th house. So Sun's your focus. Now, being in the 10th house is your career, your status, your work environment, your managers, bosses. So this is where your focus is. Now, the new moon's going to take place on June 18th. So when there's a new moon, you'll see that there's a major event that takes place tied to that house. So themes I just mentioned, especially career, status, or just something significant with your bosses could come up in your work environment. Alright, so that's what I have for you, Virgo. Okay, so Libra, Ascendant, and Moon sign. Let's get on to you. Alright, so Mars and Venus are conjunct in your 10th house. So Mars and Venus conjunct can cause issues with vehicles, but also when Mars and Venus are conjunct, you can have conflicts in your relationships if you're in one, but there can also be more passion in the relationship. This can go either way, or it can have the, double effect of both. Now, if you're not in a relationship, then you could get into a relationship with a manager at your work. 10th house is also your work environment, so you could get into a relationship with a coworker or even a subordinate, with it being in the 10th house. Now, Mars is your energy and drive, and the 10th house of career, status, your bosses, your work environment. It shows that there's going to be a lot of energy put into your career and into your work. But Mars being there can cause conflicts with anybody in your working environment. So bosses, managers, coworkers, subordinates. Now the fourth aspect of Mars is going to be on the Ascendant. So Ascendant is you, your body, your health. So this is what Mars wants to conquer. This is what you want to conquer. So you might start a new health routine. Now, seventh aspect of Mars is going to be on the fourth house. Seventh aspect of Mars is mainly confrontational. So you could get into conflicts with your mother and with people in your home. Now, eighth aspect of Mars is going to be on the fifth house. So eighth aspect brings sudden ups and downs and transformation. Fifth house is children. It's fun and games, romance, education, creativity. It's gains from business, speculative gains. It's like stock market. So there can be sudden ups and downs with this, with these areas of life and with the people represented by this. Fifth house is also subordinates, people that work under you, students. Now, it's also the eighth house from the house of career. So this can be sudden changes in your career, like a change of job. Okay. Now, Mars and Venus are going to move into Leo July 6th. Mars will have been there a few days before, but... So, Mars and Venus being in the 11th house. Once that happens, you could begin a relationship with a friend, with somebody, that's in your friend group, or your friend could introduce you to somebody. 11th house is also tied to large groups, large organizations. So you could begin a relationship, with somebody in a large organization. 11th house is also tied to like large gatherings. That could be like a party. But Mars being your energy and drive, it energizes the house of gains. Gain of status. So it's good financially. It can cause conflicts with your friends and with large organizations. It can cause conflicts with your elder siblings. But 11th house is also hopes, wishes, and desires. So you can put your energy and drive towards your hopes, wishes, and desires. Now, the fourth aspect is going to fall in your second house of savings, earnings. So Mars is going to, fourth aspect is conquest. You're going to want to conquer that. So it's definitely good for finances. But second house is also family. It's speech. So you could be a little domineering with your family. Now the seventh aspect is going to fall on the fifth house of children, subordinates, students. So these are the people you get into confrontations with in particular. And eighth aspect is going to fall on the sixth house. So sixth house is tied to enemies, maternal aunts and uncles. Sixth house is also debt, it's health, it's your pets, it's competition. So there could be sudden ups and downs with all of these areas of life. Alright, now Sun has moved into Gemini, your ninth house. So ninth house well, first off, sun's your focus. And ninth house is your father, your teachers, your gurus, mentors. Ninth house is also religion, philosophy. It's long distance travel, pilgrimages. Ninth house is also higher education. So, with sun being here, that's what you're going to focus on. But June 18th, there's going to be a new moon in the ninth house. Now, that new moon is going to bring about a major event tied to one of these particular areas of life. New moons always bring about some new event. So be aware of that. That's June 18th. That's going to happen. All right, that's what I have for you, Libra. Okay, so Scorpio, Ascendant, and Moon sign. Let's see what's coming up for y'all. So Mars and Venus are still in your ninth house. Now, when Mars and Venus are together, there can be issues with vehicles. Also, there can be new romances. Now, ninth house is tied to religion. It's tied to higher education. It's tied to long distance travel. So the ways that you could begin a new relationship are while traveling a long distance. Also, you can meet somebody at church or, whatever, religious institution or whatever. Also, at college or any place where you get higher education. And you could even begin a relationship with a teacher. Now, Mars and Venus can cause conflicts in relationships, but they can also cause an increase in passion in the relationship. But Mars is your energy and drive. And being in the ninth house, you could put a lot of energy towards your education. You could want to travel. But Mars also causes conflict. So you could get into conflicts with your father, with your teachers, your mentors. You get in a conflict with people over religion, philosophy. Now, the fourth aspect of Mars is going to be on the 12th house. So, fourth aspect of Mars is the aspect of conquest. 12th house is spirituality. It's foreign travel. It's bed pleasure, so it's sleep and sex. It's isolation. Along with being foreign travel, it's also foreigners. So these are like the areas of life that you would want to conquer, that you could be a little domineering with. Now, seventh aspect is going to fall on the third house. Seventh aspect of Mars is the confrontational aspect. So you could get into conflicts with your younger siblings, with your cousins, with your neighbors. You can get into conflicts with people online. Third house is communication, writing, media. So you could get into conflicts with people, through all these avenues. Now, eighth aspect of Mars is going to be on your fourth house of home, comforts, happiness, mother, vehicles. So it can be sudden ups and downs and transformation with these particular areas of life during this transit. Now, Mars and Venus are going to be in Leo, your 10th house, starting July 6th. So, Mars will be there a few days before, but Mars and Venus being there, you could begin a relationship with somebody in your work environment, somebody in the government. 10th house is tied to these two places mainly. So that's where you could begin a new relationship. 10th house is also your bosses, your managers, your coworkers, subordinates, is your work environment. So anybody in your work environment you could begin a relationship with. Now, Mars being your energy and drive in the 10th house, you're putting a lot of energy into your career. But you can also get into conflicts with people you work with. So be careful with that. Now, fourth aspect is going to be on the first house of you, your body, your health. So that's what you would want to conquer once Mars moves into your 10th house. Now, seventh aspect of confrontation is going to move to the fourth house. Fourth house is your mother. It's your home. So you can get into confrontations with your mother or with people in your home. Now, eighth aspect of sun ups and downs and transformation is going to be on your fifth house. So fifth house is children. It's fun and games, romance, creativity. It's your education. It's your students, your subordinates. So it can be sun ups and downs and transformation with all these particular areas of life. Also, fifth house is eighth from the 10th house of career. So it can show sudden changes in your career. You could get a new job. Or, just major changes could happen in your work environment or with your bosses. So, so sun's moving into your 8th house, Gemini. Now, sun's your focus. So your focus being in the 8th house. 8th house is tied to your in-laws. It's married life. It's joint finances and marriage and business. It's money you gain through business. 8th house is also the occult. It's research. It's sex. 8th house is insurance, taxes, anything hidden. So this is where your focus is going to be. Now, there's going to be a new moon there, June 18th. So when that happens, you can expect a pretty significant event tied to that house. 8th house is also sun ups and downs, transformation, and endings. So these are some of the things that you could experience. Alright, that's what I have for you, Scorpio. Okay, so Sagittarius, Sun and Moon sign. Let's see what's coming up for y'all. Okay, so Mars and Venus are going to be in Cancer in your 8th house, like they have been. So being in the 8th house, if you're already in a relationship, this can show a major increase in passion, especially like sex drive. 8th house is a house of sex. But it can also cause conflict with you and your partner, especially because 8th house is also tied to married life. Now, if you're not in a relationship, then 8th house is house of secrecy. It's also sudden events. So you could begin a relationship in secret quite suddenly. It could start off as a sexual relationship. Now, Mars is your energy and drive, and being in the 8th house, your energy and drive would be towards the things represented by the 8th house. So 8th house is your in-laws. It's your joint finances. It's your business finances. Business earnings. 8th house is also the occult. It's research. It's sex. It's anything hidden. It's sun ups and downs, transformation. So these are the areas of life where you're putting your energy. Now, Mars being there can show conflict. 8th house is also insurance, wills and estates, legacies. But Mars shows conflict, and 8th house is tied to in-laws and married life, so there could be issues with your in-laws, with your spouse, or your partner if you're just living together. Now, fourth aspect of Mars is the aspect of conquest, and it's going to be on the 11th house. So 11th house is gains, gain of status. It's your hopes, wishes, desires. 11th house is your elder siblings, your friends, large network circles, large organizations. So these would be the areas of life where you could be a bit domineering. The seventh aspect of Mars is the confrontational aspect, and that's going to be on your second house, a family. So you could definitely get into fights with your family and with your in-laws, and a big fiasco basically. Now, eighth aspect is sun ups and downs and transformation, and that's falling on your third house. So third house is younger siblings. Third house is cousins, neighbors. It's also a house of friends. It's media, communication, writing. It's your efforts. It's short distance travel. So that's where you can have sun events take place. Now, Mars and Venus are going to move into Leo July 6th. Okay. So, if you're not already in a relationship, Mars and Venus in the ninth house, you could begin a relationship with somebody while you're traveling a long distance. Ninth house is also religion. So you can meet somebody, like at church or, whatever religious institution you go to. Ninth house is also higher education, so you can meet somebody at like college. Now, Mars being your energy and drive in the ninth house, you could be putting, more energy into your education. You could want to travel. But Mars causes conflict, and ninth house is your fathers, teachers, gurus, mentors, religious people, philosophical people. So you can get into conflicts with all the people represented by the ninth house. Now, fourth aspect of conquest is going to be on the 12th house of spirituality, of bed pleasure, so sex and sleep. 12th house is also isolation. It's hospitals, jails, asylums. It's foreign lands, foreign people. So you could be, domineering in these particular areas of life. 12th house is also losses, so you're going to want to try to control those. Now, seventh aspect of confrontation is going to be on your third house. Third house is tied to younger siblings, neighbors, cousins, and also friends. So you could get into confrontations with these particular people. Third house is also media, internet, communication. So you could get, into arguments online. Now, eighth aspect of sun ups and downs is going to be on the fourth house. Fourth house is home, mother, vehicles, comforts, happiness. So this is where you can have sun ups and downs and transformation. Okay, Sagittarius. Let's see. Sun's going to be in your seventh house in Gemini. So seventh house is relationships, business. So, sun's your focus. So that's what you would be focused on. Seventh house is also the masses. So lots of people. So that's your focus. Now, there's going to be a new moon, June 18th. New moon being in your seventh house. Those areas of life that I mentioned are where a significant event will take place. You could get into a new relationship. You could have something significant happen with your business. Or you could interact with a lot more people than you normally do. But something significant will take place. Alright, that's what I have for you though, Sagittarius. Okay, so now Capricorn, Ascendant, and Moon Sign. Alright, Capricorn. So, Mars and Venus in your seventh house. I'll be honest, this has either been great or it's wreaked havoc. So, if you're already in a relationship, this had the potential to bring forth a lot of passion. But also a lot of conflict could have been possible. Now, if you're not in a relationship, you are in prime time to get into a relationship. So you could definitely meet somebody if you're not putting yourself out there, You might miss the boat. Now, Mars being your energy and drive in the 7th house of relationship and business, that's where your energy and drive would be. 7th house is also the masses, so, lots of people. You could be dealing with a lot more people than normal. But it can also cause conflicts, so you could get into conflicts with a lot of people. You can get into conflicts with your, partner in business or in relationships. Also, Mars and Venus conjunct can cause vehicle issues, so be aware of that. Now, 4th aspect of conquest, because 4th aspect of Mars represents conquest. That's going to fall in your 10th house of career, status, fame, your bosses, your work environment. So you could be a little domineering in those areas of life. Now, 7th aspect of confrontation is falling on the 1st house. So it shows that other people could be getting into arguments with you, conflict with you. Now, 8th aspect of sun ups and downs and transformation is going to be on your 2nd house. 2nd house is family, finances, savings. It's your earnings. 2nd house is also speech. So there can be sun ups and downs in those areas of life. Now, Mars and Venus are going to move into Leo, July 6th. Mars will be there a few days before, though. So if you're not in a relationship, you could begin a relationship suddenly, in secret. It could start off as sexual at first. Now, Mars being your energy and drive in the 8th house. 8th house is a house of sex, so it could, be more sex drive. 8th house is also joint finances. It's business earnings. It's your in-laws. It's sun ups and downs, transformation. It's the occult, research. It's insurance, taxes. So these are the areas of life where you'd be putting your energy. But it can also cause conflict. 8th house is tied to in-laws. So if you're married, there could be conflict there. Also, it's tied to married life. So if you're already in a relationship where you're living together, there can be conflict there too. Now, 4th aspect of conquest is going to be on the 11th house of gains. Gain of status, hopes, wishes, desires. 11th house is also elder siblings, your friends, large network circles, large organizations, large gatherings. So these are the areas of life where you could be a little domineering. Now, 7th aspect of confrontation is going to be on your 2nd house, a family, a speech. So you could definitely get into arguments with your family, with your in-laws. So be aware of that. Now, 8th aspect of sun ups and downs and transformation is going to fall on your 3rd house of younger siblings, cousins, neighbors. It's also a house of friends. 3rd house is also media, communication, writing, internet, short distance travel. It's also your skills, your efforts. So it could be sun ups and downs in all these areas of your life. Now, Sun has just moved into Gemini, your 6th house. Sun's your focus. So your focus is turning to the 6th house. 6th house is a house of your maternal aunts and uncles, your enemies, your coworkers. 6th house is your pets, your health, your debt. 6th house is your everyday routines, competition. So these are the areas of life where your focus would turn towards. But 6th house is also going to have a new moon. Because wherever sun goes, there will be a new moon. Now, this is going to take place June 18th. Okay, so June 18th, new moon in the 6th house. All the themes of the 6th house that I just mentioned, there will be a significant event on the 18th tied to the 6th house. Alright, that's what I have for you, Capricorn. Okay, Aquarius ascendant and moon sign. Let's move on to y'all. So, Mars and Venus are going to be conjunct in your 6th house in Cancer, or they've been for a while. Now, when Mars and Venus are conjunct, there can be vehicle issues. If you're already in a relationship, this can show more passion, but it can also show conflict. Now, if you're not in a relationship, 6th house is tied to health, it's tied to coworkers, it's also tied to competition. So these are the ways that you could meet somebody new for a relationship. So you could begin a relationship with a coworker at a competition, or, when you're going to get a health checkup. Now, Mars is your energy and drive, and in the 6th house, your energy and drive is going towards the 6th house. So 6th house is your maternal aunts and uncles, it's enemies, your coworkers, it's debt, it's your pets, it's your health, it's competition, it's your everyday routine. So this is where your energy and drive would be going. Now, the 4th aspect of Mars is the aspect of conquest. And it's going to be on your 9th house. So 9th house is your father, your teachers, mentors. 9th house is also religion, philosophy. It's long distance travel. It's higher education. So, it's also publishing. So these are the areas of life that you might be a little domineering in. Now, the 7th aspect of Mars, of confrontation, is going to be on the 12th house. 12th house is tied to hospitals, jails, asylums. It's also foreign lands and foreign people. So you could get in a conflict with anybody in these places. It's also spirituality. So spiritual people you could even get into conflicts with. Now, the 8th aspect of Mars is going to be on the 1st house. 1st house is it's your body and your health. So there can be sudden ups and downs and transformation in your health. Now, this can be for the good or for the bad. Now, then Mars and Venus on July 6th are going to be conjunct together in your 7th house. So, if you're not already in a relationship, you can get into a relationship with basically anybody you meet. 7th house is the masses. It's the people that you come across in this world. So, definitely chances of getting into a relationship are good. If you want to get into one, put yourself out there. Now, 7th house is also relationships and business. So this is where your energy and drive will go, starting right before July 6th. But it can also cause conflicts. So there could be conflicts in your relationship or with your business partner. Okay. Now, 4th aspect of conquest is going to be on the 10th house. 10th house of career, status. 10th house is also your bosses, your work environment, fame. Now, work environment being this can show anybody that you work with. So coworkers, subordinates. So just be aware, you can be domineering with those people in those areas of life. Now, 7th aspect of confrontations falling on the 1st house, you. So you could get into confrontations with a lot of people because Mars will be aspecting from the 7th house of the masses. So you can definitely get into conflict with a lot of people right now. So, or starting July 6th. Now, 8th aspect is going to be on your 2nd house of savings, earnings, family, your speech. 2nd house is also teeth. So it can be sun ups and downs and transformation with any of these areas of life. Now, Sun just moved into Gemini, your 5th house. 5th house is, well, first off, Sun's your focus. And 5th house is fun and games. It's romance. It's creativity. It's education. Children. Students. It's also the 8th house from the 10th house of career. So it can show Sun change a career, Sun change a job. Now there's going to be a new moon there, June 18th. So new moons are where you can see sudden significant events. So remember, that's going to be June 18th. So definitely expect, something significant to happen in any of these areas of life that I mentioned. Okay. That's what I have for you, Aquarius. Okay. So, last up, Pisces, Ascendant, and Moon Sign. Alright, Pisces. So, Mars and Venus are in your 5th house. So, first off, Mars and Venus conjunct can cause issues with vehicles. Also, if you're already in a relationship, this can show there can be an increase in passion, but also there can be conflict in your relationship. Now, 5th house, if you're not in a relationship already, could show getting into a relationship tied to the areas represented by the 5th house. So 5th house is students. You could begin a relationship with a student. 5th house is education. It's also fun and games, creativity, cinema, theater. So any of these activities, you could begin a relationship with somebody at these places. But 5th house is romance overall, so definitely it's very good for romance. Now, Mars is your energy and drive, so these areas of life are also where you'd put your energy. It can also show conflict, though. 5th house is also children. And it's also your subordinates that work under you at your work. So you could have conflicts with your children, with your students, subordinates, and with people in your education. Now, the 4th aspect of Mars is the aspect of conquest, and it's going to be on your 8th house. So 8th house is your in-laws, joint finances, it's married life, it's business finances. 8th house is bonuses, sun ups and downs, transformation, it's research, the occult, it's insurance, if I didn't already mention that. So these are the areas of life where you could be a little domineering. Now, 7th aspect is going to be on the 11th house. 11th house is your elder siblings, your friends, large network circles, large organizations, large gatherings. So there could be conflicts with, your elder siblings, with your friends, with large groups. Now, the 8th aspect of sun ups and downs and transformation is going to be on your 12th house. So 12th house is losses. So it could be sudden losses. 12th house is also tied to long distance travel, specifically like foreign travel. So it could be sudden ups and downs, with travel. Sudden issues that come up or just suddenly traveling. Now, this can also, 12th house is also isolation, hospitals, jails, asylums. So on the negative end, You could suddenly go to jail, suddenly need to go to a hospital. So be careful. Now, Mars and Venus are going to move into Leo, your 6th house, July 6th. Mars will be there a few days before. So, if you're not in a relationship and looking to get into one, 6th house is tied to competition. It's tied to coworkers. It's tied to health. So you could begin a relationship with somebody you work with when you get a health checkup or when you're, involved in a competition. Now, Mars being your energy and drive, 6th house is enemies. It's your debt, your coworkers, your everyday routines. It's your maternal aunts and uncles. It's also pets. So this is where your energy and drive would go. It's also health, if I forgot to mention that. Now, Mars being there can show conflicts. So you can get into fights with your coworkers or, with your enemies. But it'll be good for that. Mars is great for taking down your enemies. You could also get into conflicts with your maternal aunts and uncles. It can also be very good for dealing with health issues. Now, the 4th aspect of conquest is going to be on the 9th house. So 9th house is father, teachers, mentors, religion, philosophy, long distance travel, higher education. So you can be a little domineering in these areas of life. Now the 7th aspect of confrontation is going to be on the 12th house. So 12th house is spirituality. It's foreign lands, foreign people. So you could get into conflicts with spiritual people or foreign people. And lastly, the 8th aspect is going to be on the 1st house of you, your body, your health. So there can be sudden ups and downs and transformation with your health. Now this can be good or bad, depending on what you've been doing or what your karma is. Now, Sun is going to be in Gemini. Just moved there. Gemini is your 4th house of home, mother, comforts, happiness. So this is where your focus is going to be, because Sun is your focus. Now, there's going to be a new moon there, June 18th. Sorry, 4th house is also vehicles, if I forgot to mention it. So, with the new moon being there on June 18th, there can be a significant event tied to your mother, your home, your comforts and happiness, and your vehicles. So, definitely be aware of that. And that's it. Pisces, you were the last. So, if you all like this video, be sure to like and subscribe. It really helps me and the channel out. And yeah, catch you all in the next one.